It's crazy.
So when you live in that kind of environment, you become comfortable owning that, right? But for Chinese people, like if I have lots of debt besides my mortgage, like if I have like $10,000 in debt, like it will be on my mind every single day. And that's not comfortable. I will want to like get rid of it. And besides, I guess for most of us, like what's the point of having debt? Like do I really need that thing that I'm willing to borrow money to buy? I have enough to eat, right? I can pay for my child's education. I have a place to work. So why do I need that? Because, I mean, this is a Chinese person's mentality. And I can represent a huge percentage of Chinese people. The younger generation.
I agree with you. Yeah. Chinese are in very high favors.
Yeah. Well, I don't have savings, I have to be honest. Okay? But I don't have debt. And I'm not interested in it. Like, debt is just not part of my life.
Okay, you don't have debt. You better get some.
Yeah, American way. Oh, no.
Situated along the ancient Silk Road, where fine arts and divine beliefs merged with the natural world. It's where the East and West interacted, and where the world's largest Buddhist art gallery still fascinates and amazes people today. A place where stories of life and death, love and hatred, passion and desire, faith and sacrifice have been generated and told for 2,000 years. Dunhuang, a place born in legends. Welcome to our new podcast, Why We Love Dunhuang, the one and only podcast to take you to the fantasy world of Dunhuang and beyond through our audio tour. Listen and subscribe to the Why We Love Dunhuang podcast for free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms. Why we love Dunhuang? You will have your answer.
You're listening to The Bridge.
All right, I want to read some data to you, though.
Sure.
So as of April 26th of this year, according to Gateway.com, I can't even believe this when I read this. The average credit card rate is 20.23%.
That's not very high.
20% interest. I want to cry for America. This is awful. So what's the average? This is average. So we're talking about people out there with 30% on their credit cards. How do they get out? I mean, there are a couple of things you can do. Number one is bankruptcy, and you can get your credit cards at a rate. And don't let people tell you that this is a terrible thing you're doing. If you want, I recommend that people just go out and get rid of that. If you're paying 30% interest, there's a reason for the bankruptcy. That's why bankruptcy court is there.
But then it will be harder for you to borrow in the future. You have to be ready for this.
In the short term, you get 1,000 credit cards thrown at you. The reason is, if you declare bankruptcy within the first 6 months, you'll get 20 credit cards asking for you to, like, you just so many. And the reason is, you can't declare bankruptcy for 7 years. So if they know that you have just successfully left bankruptcy court, credit cards track you down and be like, please take it, because you were stuck with it, and you can't get out of it. For most people, that's not an option, or they don't have that mentality, they're unable to do it, and all these, they're afraid of credit cards. It's very complicated, but a lot of people, what you can do is keep shopping for credit cards that have 0% interest for 1 or 2 years. This is not a good long-term solution, but as long as the interest rate is higher, which it doesn't stay high for more than usually 5 to 10 years, but you can shop around for 0% and transfer the debt of your credit cards over and over a few times, as long as there's not a punishment going along with it. And you can just manage your debt while you wait for the rate to come back down. And that is an option that Jian Sahidi recommends as one of the things you can do. And a lot of people say don't do bankruptcy. You know, it's actually illegal for people to make recommendations without qualifying that they're not a qualified professional. That's why I keep saying this. But I would recommend it. I think that in a hospital, I know people who declared bankruptcy, and everything worked out for them. they'd come in, they were like, oh gosh, I have 10,000 credit card debt, and I make like $25,000 a year. I can't pay this. It's not possible. I will just be in debt forever until I die. So they declared bankruptcy, and then they were like, I'm not using credit cards, so it doesn't matter if my credit is ruined. 10 years later, people don't even really know that they declared bankruptcy 10 years ago because their record has been expunged. It's been so long. So
will I be able to see you again, Jason, after you settle this?
I'm not declaring bankruptcy.
Okay, but you can mention it with...
I don't have any credit card debt. I don't even try. I think.
I don't even have a credit card. I'm not interested.
Yeah, my wife has tried to get me a credit card. She's like, Jason, you should have a credit card. I'm like, no.
Don't get me started.
No.
That is one of those words that I'm going to rip out of my daughter's dictionary. Okay? They're common words. They're just really good.
It's an imaginary thing. It's not real.
Like that, rush and convert, these will not be my daughter's dictionary until she's like much older.
Mommy, what if I want to buy something? I don't have money.
What if I want to buy a gun?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. What have you been watching? No,
God.
These will not be in the environment where my brother lives in. She just won't become influenced by it. So anyhow, the tips, Jason, okay, especially the one about transferring your debt to a 0%.
Companies that are competing with each other, and so it is possible to transfer your debt. And if you're way in debt and it's out of control, I recommend that you seek help from a professional. Some of them will recommend that you do declare bankruptcy. And if you're in a position to pay it off somehow, maybe a professional finance expert can help you find a way to pay it down. Usually, if you have, this is the basic key, and this, I think they will agree. If you have 3 or 4 different kinds of debt, spread them out in front of you so you're looking at them clearly. Whichever one has the highest interest rate, generally, the rule is pay that one first.
I don't want to visualize that.
This is the American way, baby.
Like in Chinese families, if I somehow got into debt, like my parents will be at the door, like 5 minutes after they heard this, and my mom will be like,
what happened?
Will have a suitcase full of cash and say,
oh gosh, can I use your bag?
I'm serious.
She got 2 boxes full of cash? Oh my gosh, I want to be in your family.
I'm serious. This is the case for a lot of Chinese parents. They will be scolding you and telling you, how did you get into all this? But they will help you. And they will look and make sure that you're back on your feet. And you're never to do this again. So they can let you sink in deeper and deeper. And also, I heard in Korean culture, one of my coworkers back in New York, she was Korean, and they have these, like, kind of like a little banking thing between families. So let's say a group of family, or a close family or relatives, every year each family would put in, let's say $10,000, or maybe a few $1,000 into accounts, like all together. And so they will have like a pot of cash ready for any kind of emergencies or special events that any one of the families might encounter. So that year...
Step 1, buy a pot.
And a cash friends. Okay, has friends and relatives. So that year, she got in. So that year, she was able to take that cash out to help pay for her wedding. Of course, the year following that, she will be, paying back into that pot. And all the other families will keep paying. They do this every year. They put in money every year. So that they have an emergency fund for, any one of these families. That could be something, right? It doesn't involve any credit card or a bank. Like, nobody else is going to take a chunk of this money from you.
Saving for a rainy day is far better than borrowing on a rainy day.
Then control, like, your spending. If you're in debt, and don't go out for meals.
I agree, but I don't think that advice of having a pot full of cash and sharing it is going to work for most Americans. The reality, unfortunately, David, is most Americans are already in debt. And so for them, it's about managing the debt they have as opposed to creating a special rainy day savings account. I know that sounds bad, but I read a lot of advice from...
Lots of Chinese aunties shaking their heads.
I know. But I want to talk to these people in America, and I think the reality of telling them to save is sometimes frustrating because I was in that same mentality or whatever 15 years ago where I had nothing and I had some debt, and I would read advice that said, oh, if you have $1,000 invested here, and I think, oh, this isn't for me. I'd hear, oh, just save money for a rainy day, and I look at my credit card account and I think, this isn't for me. And so
I'm still in the hole.
Yeah, I'm still in the hole. So one thing you can do is manage your credit cards. Another thing, and this is for a lot of Americans still do own homes, at least if they're over 30 or 35, they own homes. So I want to give a little bit of advice from this article by CNN, then a different article, Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, your mortgage and home loans, what to do now. And it goes in, it has a long bunch of stuff, but there's two basic things to do. Number one, don't go buy a home right now. So if you don't have a home, don't go buy one. Wait. If you go into a bank and ask for a look, how much are paying cash? Sure, buy whatever you want. But if you're borrowing money from the bank, and that's the reality for 99% of Americans, don't. Wait until the interest rate comes down. Keep your savings that you have for your deposit. Invest that in something stable. Wait 5 years, and then you can go with a lower interest rate. And number two, you already own a loan. You have a loan, so it says if you are already a home loaner with a variable rate home equity line of credit, go and see if you can fix that right.
Lock it at a decent rate.
Yeah, lock it in now, because if they raise it again, if the interest rate goes up 1 or 2 more times, which is possible, your interest rate is probably going to go up. Even though the Fed is not directly tied to your banking, calculus, it will factor in somewhere, and you may end up paying more. If you have variable rate home equity, lock it and don't have a variable home rate. And make sure you have a low locked-in rate. So these are the only things you can do. Don't buy a home, and if you own a home, lock your interest rate so it doesn't go up more. And again,
this is not the time for people without a lot of savings to buy new cars, to buy new boats.
If you're in the market for boats, I don't think this is a show.
You're listening to The Break. We can also talk about how to invest in, let's say, the stock market.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. I get this question, baby, every single day, because I post, financial news on my Twitter. And people say, oh, it's a great time to invest in China. People are like, but how do I invest in China? Is it even possible? Yes, it is possible.
You should have, some kind of a Jason agency to help people invest in the Chinese stock market.
You know what? I don't want to ever be responsible for other people's finances. Because if something goes wrong and someone else's finances, even if I'm not legally responsible, I will be emotionally crushed.
Okay, you'll be mentally responsible. How do we invest? And what do you...
Okay, so this is actually a question foreigners ask all the time, and it's really, really simple. There are some ICBCs and some CCBs, the Bank of China. There are all these things. There are some of them that are specific to investing. So you can go into any ICBC and say, which ICBC can I go to invest in? And they will literally tell you the address of the one that you can do this in. And there are huge, with sofas and water and tea. You can sit down and you can look at all the investments they have, and you can literally choose an investment, how long do you want to invest, and how much you have. Some of them have minimums. So, for example, if you want to invest in some semiconductor industries right now, well, that's really popular right now, sometimes they'll say you need to invest at least, and they'll give you a number. So if you're just walking...
And we walk out.
So if you go in there with 1,000 kwai, that no one's going to take you seriously. But if you... Hey, no tea for you. But if you actually have some real money and you want to invest, it's really easy. I mean, I've literally done it. You walk into the bank and you say, I want a CD, or you want a stock, or you want gold, or whatever, and you can invest it right there in the bank. And what I recommend is, some people actually take the gold home. Don't do that. ICBC is one of the top 3 largest banks on earth. It'll be safe in the bank.
Set it on a shoebox.
I'll tell my dog.
Okay, he doesn't have cash under her bed, okay? Don't go looking. Yeah. But just to add a little bit more, so on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, lists companies on 2 boards. There's, A shares and B shares. And the prices for A shares are denominated in Chinese RMB currency, and B shares prices are stated in U.S. dollars. And currently, I think that's 1,490 companies, including some of the largest companies in the world, so you have plenty of choices. But with more details, we probably don't have time for details. If anyone is interested, go on these websites, and I'm sure there will be people who...
Actually, I did want to ask you a question before. Well, let's take a pivot to another topic, and if we have time, we'll come back to this. David, why isn't China suffering from the same inflation that most of the rest of the world is? Do you know?
You want to answer this in 2 minutes? Okay, first of all, I think the government has a better control of things. The central bank is not running wild. That's a good reason. And also, China's still bouncing back, right, from the 3 years of pandemic. And it does have a pretty weak labor market right now, which means a lot of people who want to work have